Now this is the second video on Aravind Adiga's The White Tiger. We are going to talk about how they have lived their life in Delhi now. Balram, Mr. Ashok and Pinky Madam are now in Delhi. Balram thinks Delhi is a crazy city. The fourth section of the novel, called The Fourth Night, begins with a description of the different chandeliers that he owns. Balram is now a successful businessman in Bangalore and he owns many chandeliers in order to bathe himself in that light. These chandeliers denote light. He has come from poverty, from the rural heartland of India, which is described as darkness, and he longed to be in the light. And now he is filling his life with chandelier light. Chandelier is also an indication or a metaphor for his exquisiteness. He is different from everyone. He is exquisite and also useless. It is the futility of his success that is also represented by the chandelier. Balram was brought to Delhi as the driver of the Honda City with Mr. Ashok, Pinky Madam and also Mukesh Sir. Mukesh Sir is the brother of Ashok. The stork, their father, always favored Mukesh and Ashok suffered. They are now in some income tax trouble and they are in Delhi in order to bribe politicians and get things right. Balram considers Delhi to be a crazy city, rife with traffic jams and pollution, and with illogically numbered houses and circuitous streets that are difficult to navigate. Balram is unable to find his way. He is driving badly at first, and Pinky Madam is always finding fault with him, so is Mukesh Sir. Mukesh even wants to get rid of Balram and get a local driver from Delhi, but it is Ashok who supports Balram. Ashok and Pinky Madam had rented an apartment in Gurgaon, the most American part of the city, since Pinky Madam hated India and missed New York. She came from New York and she wants to go back there, but Ashok is not keen on leaving India. Now they are living in Gurgaon. Balram lived in the servants' quarters in the basement of the building. He seems to understand Ashok as if they share a manner of intimacy. This connection between these two characters, there being the two sides of India, that is becoming more and more evident. From the start, sir, there was a way in which I could understand what he wanted to say. The way dogs understand their masters. Oh. This master-slave relationship is actually a very theoretical idea discussed by Hegel, I think. And it is very deep-rooted in this novel. The psychology and philosophy of master-slave relationship. I stopped the car and then moved to my left and he moved to the right and our bodies passed each other. I told you this is what happened as they were driving back to from Dhanbad to Delhi, I think. Yeah. So close that the stubble on his face scraped my cheeks like the shaving brush. No, this happened when they were driving back to Dhanbad, I think. But the oneness of these two characters is becoming evident. His face, there is touch, physical touch. His face scraped my cheeks like the shaving brush that I use every morning. And the cologne from his skin, a lovely, rich, fruity cologne, rushed into my nostrils for a heady instant, while the smell of my servant's sweat rubbed off onto his face. And then he became driver and I became passenger. In Delhi, he meets another driver who has a white discoloration on his lips. It is the disease vitiligo, which is very common among India's poor. So he begins to call that man vitiligo lips. Teased and ostracized by the other servants, he nevertheless found a mentor. He is too serious in his driving and the urban or the metropolitan servants make fun of him. Who? Balram. He found a mentor in a fellow driver whom he refers to as vitiligo lips, since the pigment discoloration on the man's lips was affected by the skin condition vitiligo. He was the only person who behaved pleasantly to Balram. And he gave Balram necessary pieces of advice from a chauffeur to a chauffeur. He gave Balram advice that the rustic Balram quite needed from his urban friend. To escape the teasing, Balram chose to live in a tiny, decrepit room swarming with cockroaches. But he hid inside a mosquito net to keep the cockroaches out at night. Every day the brothers go out, Mukesh and Ashok, to meet the politicians and to bribe them. And Balram drives them around. Mukesh is called Mongoose. Balram calls Mukesh Mongoose. Mukesh tries every way possible to ill-treat Balram. Soon when he prepares to leave, this Mongoose wants Ashok to check out on the driver because he doesn't trust Balram. But Ashok paid no attention, and Balram discovered. I realized that this tall, broad-shouldered, handsome, foreign-educated man would be my only master in a few minutes. When the long whistle blew and this train headed off toward Dhanbad, was weak, helpless, absent-minded, and completely unprotected by the usual instincts that run in the blood of a landlord. I'll call you. If you were back in Lakshmangarh, we would have called you the lamb. Mongoose returned to Dhanbad, leaving Ashok as Balram's sole master in Delhi. At this time, tensions between Mr. Ashok and Pinky run high. To appease his wife on her birthday, Mr. Ashok has Balram dress up as a Maharaja with a red turban and serve them pizza. There is also a discussion because Pinky Madam makes fun of Balram saying pizza. And she says it is not pizza, it is pizza. And Ashok corrects her, it is not pizza. It is not pizza, it is pizza. Later that night, they are both drunk and Balram drives them around town. Pinky insists on driving and hits something with the car. The victim doesn't make a sound and lies still on the road. Horrified, Pinky wants to take the person to the hospital. It's a child. But Ashok silences his wife and takes her back. They are terrified. A child has been killed by Pinky Madam. And the Balram goes and cleans the car, cleans the blood and flesh from the car. Balram tells Mr. Ashok the small piece of cloth that he found on a tire was the clothing of a street child, and reassures his master that no one will even miss the kid because of how those people in the darkness are. The poor boy will not be missed, Ashok says. Mukesh returns to the city and has a lawyer fill out the paperwork they expect Balram to sign to claim responsibility for the accident. At this time, Mukesh is very sweet with them. Balram tells Jiabo that this is a common practice in India. The memory makes him angry enough to kill another rich man. Here ends the fourth section called the fourth night. So we saw in the fourth section that Pinky Madam had got into an accident and killed a child. In the fifth section or letter, which is called the fifth night, Balram tells Jiabo the rooster coop is the greatest thing to come out of this country in all its history. He is angry because the crime of having killed the child has been thrust upon his head. Pinky Madam escaped. And this underprivileged Indians, these people are like the rooster coop. The greatest thing to come out of the entire country ever is only this. All these millions of people crammed into one rooster coop or cage without being able to move, without getting space of their own. In the market, chickens are caged together. fighting for space, covered in filth, right beneath the butcher's table that contains the body parts of the recently slaughtered. But the chickens don't try to escape. The people of India are the same. They are like roosters in a rooster's cage or rooster coop. It's a very important metaphor, the central metaphor of this novel. The workers are so inculcated with the idea of servitude that servants across the country are oppressed and ill-treated and taken for granted. They are entrusted with valuable objects, knowing that they will never steal their master's property. Hey, not Balram. Balram used to be a good man, but he begins to steal now. And he even ends up killing his master because he wants to break out of the rooster cage. It is not out of honesty, Balram argues, but out of the rooster coop mindset upon which the Indian economy depends. Because people don't rebel. They can't rebel. They have to accept what is given to them. That is the rooster coop mentality. He claims never before in human history have so few owed so much to so many. The rich train the poor to accept their servitude. A belief so strong they would even reject freedom if it was offered to them. The poor people are so servile in their mind that they will even reject freedom if it is offered to them. This is reminding me of another novel, The Untouchable by Mulk Raj Anand. Mulk Raj Anand has also written a lot about the underprivileged people in touching ways. What keeps Indians in the coop is family loyalty. Everybody is loyal, loyalty. When we talked about Ivanhoe, we talked about loyalty in the case of a militaristic culture. This is a completely different kind of loyalty, loyalty that leads to your servitude. Balram is very worried about being jailed at this time. But luckily, they bribed the police and the case was not even registered. It didn't even become an issue because it was the death of a poor child who was not missed, who would not be missed. If poor people die, nothing will happen. So, Pinky Madam killing this poor child and getting away with it is paralleled to Balram killing Ashok and getting away with it. Even though the entire nation knew about the crime, he got away with it. That is the irony. That is his retaliation. So Balram is very worried about being jailed, but he would never think of telling the judge the truth. He will never tell the judge that it was not him who killed the child, he thinks. Pinky Madam asks if they told Balram the news. The relief on Balram's face, no one reported the accident. I told you, because the child was not even missed, no one reported the accident. Therefore, Balram was out of danger. He will not be imprisoned. The relief on Balram's face sends Pinky running to her room. Balram is so happy and Pinky feels ashamed. The stork scoffs that she had wanted to compensate for the child's family. The stork makes fun of her for having wanted to compensate for the child's family. But she is kind-hearted. She is not very evil compared to the other people in the family. Balram realizes that she is the only one in the family with a conscience. I don't know why this S is there. This character of Pinky is now becoming deeper and more complicated. And Pinky asks Balram to drive her to the airport. She asks him an envelope of money as she leaves the country. And it contains 4,700 rupees. She is also leaving her husband without telling him. Mr. Ashok is furious with Balram and nearly pushes him off the balcony for having dropped Pinky at the airport. Balram takes extra care of his master now, like a wife who is often drunk. The master is often drunk and tearful in the days after his wife's departure. Balram is unsure if his care for his master is sincere or self-interested. He is actually doing a lot of things out of self-interest, but originally he was not a bad man. He is becoming like that. But where my genuine concern for him ended and where my self-interest began, I could not tell. No servant can ever tell what the motives of his heart are. We are made mysteries to ourselves by the rooster coop. We are locked in. Now, Ashok is alone. In the 6th section called Sixth Morning, Balram tells Jiabao that the rest of the story will be about how Delhi life corrupted him. Balram drives Mr. Ashok to a mall with a flashing red light on the top. The mall has a flashing red light, so he thinks it must be a discotheque. For the first time, Balram notices prostitutes lining the streets. They are poor Nepali prostitutes, and they are also like the rooster coop. He and Mr. Ashok catch each other looking at women lustfully. Not women, actually. One woman was crossing the road, one sexy girl, her boobs bobbing up and down like a bag of brinjals. That is what Aravind Adiga says. And Balram looks at the rear view mirror and he sees that Ashok is also looking at the girl. Ashok sees that Balram is looking at the girl. They both feel ashamed. Mr. Ashok comes out of Sheraton Hotel, that is a very big hotel, with a Nepalese looking woman. She is not actually Nepali, but Nepalese looking woman, and Balram assumes that it is a prostitute. Balram is scandalized by Mr. Ashok's behavior with the woman. He has his arm round her waist, and Balram is angry that Mr. Ashok is behaving like this with a prostitute. Angry, Balram takes the car out by himself, using both the air conditioning and the stereo, two things he was forbidden to do. He was not allowed to use air conditioning or stereo. Now he deliberately does it because he is angry. And then he discovers that it is not a prostitute. The next day he listens at the apartment door. Always he is listening to other people's conversations and learns that the woman was not a prostitute but one of Mr. Ashok's old flames. He feels bad for doubting his master. It is an old girlfriend. Balram drives Mr. Ashok from bank to bank where he withdraws cash, stuffing it into a large handbag. He is drawing more and more cash from the bank, and finally he drops him off at the minister's home. Because Ashok is going to bribe the minister. Several hours go by before Mr. Ashok steps out of the minister's house with a fat man. The man's name is Mukeshan. Our Mukesh is the brother of Ashok. This is Mukeshan, the minister's assistant he is, who persuades Mr. Ashok to go out on the town with him. Now he convinces Ashok to hire a beautiful Ukrainian prostitute. When Ashok guiltily complies, at first Ashok doesn't want. He resists, but then he finally complies. Balram observes that the woman in the front seat of the car is golden haired. She has exotic Western looks, and Balram wants that kind of a woman because it implies richness. It implies light. It implies breaking out of the rooster coop. After Ashok goes home, Balram drives back to the hotel where the men took the prostitute. Balram wants to catch a glimpse of her. When this fails, he takes another forbidden drive around Delhi. He drives around Delhi again. He has an imaginary conversation with Delhi as he drives. He is driving and he is conversing with Delhi as if Delhi is a woman or a person, asking her to tell him about civil war and blood. He is asking Delhi to tell him about civil war and blood, hoping the fat man would be the first to die if something happens in Delhi. Later, he finds a strand of golden hair in the car, which he has kept till now. There is a strand of golden hair and he says, till now, it is there on his desk. Now, Balram, in the next section called the Sixth Night, talks about Ashok's exercise routine. He is running and he is actually in a bad shape, but he is running and he is sweating. He hardly sweats, and the sweat is wiped by a towel, and our vitiligo lips is carrying his towel. Balram lies to vitiligo lips that Ashok wants a golden-haired prostitute. Actually, Balram wants. He then lists out the various ways to cheat one's master. Balram begins selling petrol from the Honda City's tank. These are the various ways in which you can cheat your master. By selling petrol from the Honda City's tank, visiting corrupt mechanics that overcharge for repairs, and using the car as a freelance taxi. He finds that each time he cheats Ashok, he feels not guilt but rage. When he cheats Ashok, he is like taking revenge on Ashok. Balram claims that he was growing a fat belly. He was growing a belly at last. Because Balram used to say that there are two kinds of India or Indians. Men with a belly and men with small belly. Big belly and small belly. Big belly are the rich people. Small belly are the poor people. Now, using the money that he stole from Ashok, he has stolen a lot of money by now. Balram hires a golden-haired prostitute called Anastasia with the help of vitiligo lips. He hires a golden-haired prostitute, and the charge of this prostitute was 7,000 rupees, including a working class surcharge for Balram, because he's a working class man. Now, to his disappointment, she is not nearly as attractive as Ashok's Ukrainian girl. That girl was an Ukrainian student and very attractive. But this girl is not attractive. And also Balram finds that her blonde hair is black at the roots. It is only hair dye. The woman is not a natural blonde. And he hits her and gets thrown out of the hotel without having sex at all. Balram is furious. You can apply Franz Fanon's theories here. Black skin, white masks, and wretched of the earth. The black man wants to hit back at the white man. It is not because of personal hatred that he kills Ashok. Actually, he loves Ashok and Ashok loves him. But it is out of a class hatred. Mukesh comes back to town and Balram drives the brothers as they distribute more bribes. They are giving more bribes to ministers trying to get out of their income tax confusion. When Balram drives Mr. Ashok and another bag of money, he feels tempted. He wants that money. 100,000 rupees is there. So many 100,000 rupees are there in that bag and he wants it. He's tempted. Balram's cousin Dharam at this time is sent to him as an assistant. It's actually a nephew, I think, as an assistant by his grandmother Kusum, along with a reminder to send money home. Several times she has been writing to Balram saying he should send money, but he never sends money. After Vijay, that Vijay is an important character. Actually, I didn't mention him till now. Vijay used to be a bus conductor and he grew very rich and politically powerful. In his childhood, Balram's hero he was, Vijay. Vijay was the only entrepreneur he knew. And that Vijay is now politically powerful. Remember, our Ashok and Vijay are both from Lakshmangarh. So they know each other now. After Vijay and another man drink all of Mr. Ashok's Johnny Walker black Scotch whiskey, that is what happens in the car. These men drank Mr. Ashok's Scotch whiskey. At that time, the bottle becomes empty and Ashok keeps the empty bottle. And later on, he breaks it into a jagged weapon. The cut bottle he will use later. He keeps it as a weapon. And then he takes Dharam to the zoo. While they look at the white tiger, it seems to vanish and Balram faints. The white tiger vanishes from the cage. Balram is also going to vanish from the cage. We came to an enclosure with tall bamboo bars. And there, seen in the interstices of the bars, as it paced back and forth in a straight line, was a tiger. Not any kind of tiger, but the white tiger. The creature that gets born only once every generation in the jungle. I watched him walk behind the bamboo bars. Black stripes and sunlit white fur flashed through the slits in the dark bamboo. It was like watching the slowed down reels of an old black and white film. He was walking in the same line again and again, from one end of the bamboo bars to the other, then running around and repeating it over at exactly the same pace, like a thing under a spell. He was hypnotizing himself by walking like this. That was the only way he could tolerate his cage. Then the thing behind the bamboo bars stopped moving. It turned its face to my face. The tiger's eyes met my eyes, like my master's eyes have met mine so often in the mirror of the car. All at once, the tiger vanished, and our Balram fainted. Soon after, Balram murders Ashok. Let's see how. Dharam writes to Kusum about the incident, describing how Balram has been apologizing to her and saying he can't live his life in a cage. I can't live the rest of my life in a cage, Granny. I'm so sorry. These are Balram's words. Balram drives Mr. Ashok to fill the bag with money and thinks of the 700,000 rupees as his own, enough to change his life. On an empty stretch of road, he stops the car, claiming something is wrong with the tire. He takes the broken bottle with him and asks Mr. Ashok to get out of the car to take a look at the wheel. Earlier, some time ago, Mukesh had dropped a 1 rupee coin. Meager amount of money, but he makes Balram go down on his knees and search for the 1 rupee. So much he won't give up. Finally, Balram dropped his own 1 rupee and said he found it. Like that. Now Ashok is kneeling, looking at the tire, and Balram, as Ashok bends over, stabs him repeatedly in the head, finishing him off by piercing him in the neck. Balram then hides the body in the bushes, cleans himself and changes his clothes. He goes back to get his cousin Dharam in Gurgaon, despite the risk of getting caught. And the two flee to Bangalore together. That is the penultimate section. And then life in Bangalore. The last section is called The Seventh Night. On their way to Bangalore after the murder, Balram and Dharam stop at a tea shop where they discover a police poster out for Balram's arrest. It is a lookout notice. We have been reading the lookout notice in bits and pieces in the first section of the novel, if you remember. As Balram examines it with a sense of pride because he is now nationally famous. An illiterate man approaches him and asks what crime the man in the poster has committed. He is unable to recognize Balram from the photo at all, as the photo looks like it could be half the men in India. Because these rooster coop men, the men from the darkness, they all look alike. They don't have any peculiarity. They can't be told from one from the other. They're all like animals. That is why this novel is full of animal imagery. Looking back on the period after the murder, Balram estimates that it took him 4 weeks in Bangalore to calm his nerves. Now he becomes a pillar of Bangalore society. Balram finally takes courage and ventures out into the city. He tries to hear the city's voice. Which city? Bangalore. Just as he heard Delhi's by sitting at cafes and writing down what he overhears. People work all night for American companies because of the different time zones. But there are no night buses. Balram sees his business opportunity. He rents SUVs to offer driving services to these workers. That is his business. He bribes the police with his stolen money to shut down any competition. Balram now changes to Ashok Sharma. With the police in his pocket, he successfully runs his new company, White Tiger Drivers, and earns 15 times the sum he borrowed from Mr. Ashok. He renames himself Ashok Sharma after his master. But unlike the late Ashok, he keeps his employees at a respectful distance. Balram claims he doesn't insult his employees by telling them that they are like family. And he simply asks that they do their jobs responsibly. Despite his newfound wealth and power, Balram tries not to lose touch with the place he got his true education. That is the open road. He is never in touch with the open road. Now, despite my amazing success story, I don't want to lose contact with the place where I got my real education in life. The road and the pavement. One of his drivers hit and kill a boy on a bicycle. That was mentioned as something happening at the beginning of one of the sections. Balram sent the passengers home with the driver and tried to calm the boy's grief-stricken and angry brother. Just like it happened with Pinky Madam's accident, the police officer whom Balram had bribed many times took them both to the station, where it became clear to the brother of the hit boy that no charges would be filed. The police assured Balram that they would write it up as a hit and run and substitute a dented vehicle they used for such purposes. Look at the justice in this country. Balram tells Diabo that the pressures of the business are really to blame. He says his drivers have so many rides to complete each night. They have to be reckless. That is why there are accidents. Nevertheless, he visited the family of the boy, apologized and gave them money, explained that the police will not file charges. It is just the way of this jungle we live in. Balram assures Diabo, I am in the light now. He is no longer the darkness. I am in the light now. Light means power, money. Balram is uncertain of his own family's fate. In the newspaper, he reads a headline about a family of 17 killed in a village and immediately stops reading. He doesn't know for sure whether it was his own family, but he's sure that they would either have been killed for what he did, or they were shunned by the others and cast out of the village. Balram is unsure of their exact fate, and he actually doesn't care. He does not want to go back and apologize to them or anything or make amends. He wants to live his life in the light. He is making sure his cousin does well, though. Balram supposes that if his cousin questions his choices, he will have to either convince him or kill him. Will he be another murderer? As the novel comes to a close, Balram considers the fact that he may be caught for his murder. He continues to defend his choice. Yet, even if they throw me in jail, I'll say it was all worthwhile to know. Just for a day, just for an hour, just for a minute, what it means not to be a servant. He did not want to live all his life to be a servant. He's happy that he has known what it means not to be a servant. I think I'm ready to have children, Mr. Premier. I think I'm ready to have children, Mr. Premier, he says. Now he's ready for a life. He's ready to get married. He did not get married till now because he did not want to marry as a servant. His first priority was to get out of his servile life. Reflecting on his story, Balram boasts that he has been part of building the new Bangalore. When the veil is lifted, what will Bangalore be like? Maybe it will be a disaster. Slums, sewage, shopping malls, traffic jams, policemen, but you never know. It may turn out to be a decent city where humans can live like humans and animals can live like animals. But in today's cities, humans are living like animals. Humans like the rooster coop humans. A new Bangalore for a new India. And then I can say that in my own way, I helped to make new Bangalore. Unlike the men in bronze statues outside the Parliament House, who caused the deaths of many, many people are standing as statues now. They are the people who caused the deaths of many. Balram claims that I wanted the chance to be a man. And for that, one murder was enough. Is he justifying his crime? Well, he murdered once because he was desperate to be a man. Take it ironically as a satire. It doesn't mean people should murder. It means people should be given chances to live like men and women, not animals. He has been successful enough to consider expanding his business into real estate. Then probably he'll start a school where he'll educate a building full of young white tigers. His young men would take over the city. And he would run it all. He's free from the rooster coop and knows the murder was necessary to escape servitude. He believes he's ready to be a father now, with a vengeance. He closes the letter saying, I think I'm ready to have children, Mr. Premier. Ha!